Shemel Shah, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Because all the blessings that we're going to get, which is entailing the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah the 60th chapter, I'm going to start at the 10th verse and read on down. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So the sons of strangers, that's talking about the actual strangers, the other nations, shall build up thy walls. We're going to have them in slavery. So they're going to be building the kingdom of heaven, because we're not building nothing. We're not lifting a hand to move nothing. It says, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. That's talking about the actual Gentiles. We're going to take all of their substance, and that their kings may be brought.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 13. And the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the land of Israel, the land of Jerusalem, is going to be made glorious. It's going to be made glorious once again. The kingdom is going to be built up. We had a taste of that during the time of Solomon's reign, which was for about 40 years. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of the Lord. The word Zion means monument, the monument of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breasts of kings, meaning we're going to take all their substance. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord thy power, the Lord and thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring thee gold, and for iron I will bring thee silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and the power thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, meaning our kingdom is not going to go down. In other words, once we get back in power, we're going to be in power forever. The sun is never going to go down on our kingdom again. The sun is never going to set on our kingdom. We're going to always shine, and we're going to always be in that glory once we get into the kingdom of heaven. There's no more going back into slavery under the other nations. Esau's not going to rise back up and put us in captivity. Ham, Japheth, Ishmael, none of the other nations are going to rise up and take us down ever again. When we get on top this time, we're going to remain on top. Neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So no more mourning, no more crying, no more vexation of spirit, no more weeping, no more hopelessness because of the condition that we're in as Israelites right now. 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Verse 22. A little one shall become 1,000. This is in the kingdom. So what is this talking about? We're going to have sex. Again, like I said, the 2/3 that are going to pass in this destruction The 2/3 are going to come back through the 1/3 that make it. The Lord said, 2/3 shall be cut off and die, and the third will I bring through the fire. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us young brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing this word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures to faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right. And what I want to get into this afternoon, dealing with, spiritual war room, all right, is Iran striking data centers. Now, I found this quick video, that said Iran is even striking data centers, out there in Bahrain, all right, which is one of those GCC countries. And it's heavy because we know these data centers, are part of the devil's, new world order infrastructure, man. All right. And I want to get some precepts because the Lord said that he will allow this man to get to a certain bound. All right. And he will begin to dismantle and destroy this devil, man. Because when you go into the scriptures, okay, when you go into, let's go here, Revelation chapter 20. Okay. And another thing, the devil, his false narrative is not holding. He's trying his best, to persuade the masses because Esau is trying to save face and he's trying to hold on to, the dominant posture in the earth. Okay. But the Lord is breaking this man down. All right. And this false narrative, when it comes to, the war, when it comes to his new world order, when it comes to the digital ideas, so many things that this devil, needs a false narrative, all right, to persuade the masses, but these things not working, man. That's why it's just going to take complete and utter desperation to get, to get this devil, for this devil to really be able to make the MOTB mandatory. Okay, it's going to take a atmosphere of desperation. Okay, but just getting people to just be persuaded based off, his false narratives is not working. That's why it's going to take extreme desperation to really get the masses on board. Okay, with this new world order, as far as merging with this technology, man. Okay, and once that pressure comes, a lot of these people going to fold. Okay, but just these news reports alone, and these psyops, and these little false flags here and there, and he lying about how the war is going and all these different things. Like, nah, he gonna have to really bring some devastation, man. Okay, so when you go into Revelation 20:7, it says that when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed from his prison. This was speaking about Esau being loose during the time they call the Renaissance. And this is when his devil fully came into his blessing, okay, that was given to him by Isaac, which he was given the fatness of the earth, okay, and he was given the sword to maintain his blessing, man. Okay, Esau maintains his blessing through the sword. That's why he's constantly at war, all right, because he was blessed to live by the sword. So he has to constantly be at war or be in some type of conflict to keep his blessing going, and that's why in his mind, this third world war was going to be a come up for him. but it's really his end game. Okay, so this devil has been loose going back since the Renaissance. All right, and that's when he fully came into his blessing with the fatness of the earth. He was able to go throughout the globe, okay, and great rob and murder, okay, you see, and maintain the earth through war. You see, but when you go to verse 8, it says, "And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth." Okay, and which we always go into deception. All right, the foundation of this man's kingdom. Okay, and that's why it's important that his false narratives stay alive. Okay, because without these false narratives, his kingdom don't work. You know, he needs false narratives. He needs you to be dependent on him. He needs you to believe that without him, all right, the earth will collapse. That's why it's in people's subconscious when you talk about salvation, you talk about the kingdom, all right, an age where Esau, Edom is not ruling, okay? Immediately they think about, well, you don't even just, because we don't have to be specific and say Esau. We can just talk about the kingdom and how it's only for Israel and we the true Israelites. Well, in their mind, they immediately go to, well, what about the so-called white man? Okay, because this man has hyped himself up so much, all right, in his kingdom. You know, he has seared himself in people's conscience, okay, so much that they don't see existence functioning without him. Okay, and he needs people to believe that lie, okay, which makes them susceptible to believe, all right, his deception, man. And his latest deception is going to be this MOTB, okay, as the saving glory for the world, as this pseudo salvation, okay. And it says God and Magog, but see, all this deception, it will lead to a war with Magog, which is Russia, okay, because right now Russia is heavily, all right, coordinating with Iran to go to war with America, man. The only thing standing between America and Russia coming into direct conflict is Iran. And eventually it's gonna get to the point where Russia gonna have to get involved directly in this war, man, which this is the end of Esau Edom. Okay? So the Lord summed this nigga kingdom up in one precept. Revelation 28, 20 and 8 sums up Esau's kingdom. He will come, he will go out during the Renaissance, all right, set up shop with this is false Christianity, Roman Catholicism, okay, the sword in one hand, the Bible in the other, okay, lying and conquering, all right. So he will go forth to deceive the four quarters of the earth, all right, and it will lead to what? A war with Gog and Magog, and this what we at, you know, because this is hundreds of years of history in this one precept to gather them together to battle, to the number of whom is the sand of the sea, you know. And ever since the Ukrainian war, the Russian-Ukraine war, Russia's military has doubled, okay, because it has prophecy to fulfill according to the scriptures, man. Russia plays a major part, okay, in destroying Babylon, man, okay, and being a guard to these nations in their region. So let's go here, because we in the time where the Lord finna get ready to throw down, man. This devil is only allowed to go so far. All right. And there's only so much he can do. It's only so much he got left, man, with the Lord. All right. Because if we're tired of this nigga, man, you know the Lord, all right, is fed up with Esau, man. That's why he's speeding the times, man, speeding up the time. That's why he's causing big moves to be made in prophecy, man. Okay. Because prophecy get this nigga out of power, man. The Lord finna get this guy out of here, man. Okay. So this is Malachi 1 and 4. It says, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Okay. So Edom was impoverished when he was pushed out of power. Okay. When the Roman Empire fell, Esau, you know, because Esau went from all that glory under the pagan Roman Empire to being irrelevant in the earth, man. Okay, his glory was impoverished. Okay, at the fall of the Western Roman Empire, man. Okay, it said, but we will return and build the desolate places, the Renaissance. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. Let's get this in the NLT. like I read in the NLT, man. You know, and the Lord said He will have in the nation for these people forever, man. And the Lord is finna show that in the nation, which in the nation goes into what? A righteous anger, man. The Lord finna show His righteous anger in the earth. You know, He raised up His prophets to talk about His righteous anger. But now, all right, hey, because it's come to a time where, hey, the prophets, okay, the prophets are not going to be needed. Okay, the Lord's getting to the point where He's going to say all He's going to say, and the prophets are not going to be needed, man. Okay, and the Lord just going to be showing this what my prophets been telling y'all about. This what they've been warning you about. He just going to show. Okay, Malachi 1:4 says Esau descendants in Edom may say, "We have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins." Okay, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. But the Lord of Heaven's army replies, they may try to build, but I would demolish them again. So it says Esau's descendants. The earth is being ran by Esau's descendants, and they've rebuilt, all right, pagan Rome, this pagan Greco-Roman Empire back in the earth again. Okay, the infrastructure, the culture, okay, the lewdness, okay, they built, okay, the Greco-Roman Empire, all right, and this time they've made the beast to speak, okay. It said they may try to rebuild, but I will demolish them again. So the Lord is getting ready to demolish these devils, man. It's going to be a great demolition upon the kingdom of Esau, Edom. Okay, everything this man has built is getting ready to come down. It said their country will be known as a land of wickedness, and the people will be called the people with whom the Lord is angry forever, man. You know, and the two main places of wickedness, man, is the land of Israel, which is occupied by these small hats, okay, and over here in America, man. All right, the Epstein crew. You see, and the Lord's getting ready to demolish, man. All right, now, because this war is going to do a lot of devastation, okay, a lot of devastation to this man's kingdom. You know, the man Esau just started his own demolition. Now the elites in their mind, they think they finna rebuild from the ashes. Nah, man, ain't no coming back. Okay, because Yahweh Shai's coming back, man. You see, these devils in their mind, they think they got it planned out even beyond Yahweh Shai, man. Nah, man. Yahweh Shai comes back, and that's when everything stops, man. Okay, that's when Esau has no more say so in the affairs of the earth at the return of Yahweh Shai. All right. So I want to go here because I was looking. Let's see. Yeah, so they said Iran is even striking, data centers, man. Amazon data centers. So let's play this.
Opened in the Middle East conflict, and this time the target is not oil, ports. A new front has opened in the Middle East conflict, and this time the target is not oil, ports, or airports. It is data. Iranian drone strikes have hit at least 3 Amazon Web Services facilities in the Middle East, 2 in the UAE, and 1 in Bahrain. These strikes have raised major questions. Should data centers now be protected like military assets? These are the first known military strikes directly affecting infrastructure owned by an American hyperscale cloud provider. The immediate impact was visible. Services across the region were disrupted, including consumer and financial.
And Iran know that these data centers are nothing but military technology, man. Okay? And these data centers play a major part in this AI. All right? So Iran knows that these data centers are being used to aid America's military, man, because Amazon is nothing but, all right, military technology, man. Okay? The grandfather of Jeff Bezos, okay, was one of the founders of DARPA, okay, which DARPA goes into a branch of the military known for its research and development, all right, of technology, man. Okay. So anything associated, all right, with America in their region, okay, is being destroyed, man. All right. So let's play this.
financial platforms. Apps like Kareem, widely used for ride hailing and deliveries, saw outages. Payment service Allen was also affected. But the larger concern goes far beyond temporary app disruptions. These data centers are part of the digital backbone that supports cloud computing, financial systems, and increasingly, artificial intelligence. And that is why this incident has triggered global concern. These facilities do not just serve local markets, they support global cloud workloads, enterprise systems, and AI processing linked to major US technology companies. If enough of that infrastructure is disrupted, it could shake investor confidence in the AI boom itself. That is where concerns about an AI bubble bursting begin. In short, Iran can do some serious damage to Americans' tech industry and cause tremors through global financial markets. In the Middle East, providers are expected to move toward multi availability zone deployments, which means keeping copies of data in multiple separate facilities. Around the world, some firms have already started moving in that direction. In the United Kingdom and Sweden, underground bunkers from the Cold War are now being used to house servers. In China, Tencent stores critical data in mountain caverns in Guizhou province. But even those measures may not be enough everywhere. Experts say tech companies have focused heavily on cyber attacks and natural disasters, but physical warfare has not been prioritized enough. Military grade protection is expensive. Air defense systems, reinforced concrete, and hardened structures add huge costs and still do not guarantee protection for large data campuses. As AI becomes tied to national competitiveness, governments may now have little choice but to treat data infrastructure as strategic national security infrastructure. Because if cloud facilities become unstable, the consequences may not stop at app outages. They could reach global markets, investment flows, and the economics of artificial intelligence itself. Do you think data centers should now be treated like military infrastructure in conflict zones? Tell us in the comments and stay tuned for more updates.
So yeah, man, you have, because even you go in their region, man, you just been having, I think Qatar had a blackout, Iraq had a blackout, you know. So you got, there's gonna be, sabotagers, there's gonna be things done intentionally, there's gonna be, see, when you in real war, okay, infrastructure gonna be attacked, man. Critical infrastructure gonna be attacked because when you're in a real dog fight, man, you're trying to have the ups, So at the end of the day, man, this war is gonna tear down this devil's infrastructure. If these nations get involved in this war, more nations get pulled into this war, more missiles flying all over the place, man. Everything that this devil is built, and especially when this war goes nuclear, because that's really gonna be the Lord throwing down. See, we're just seeing a preview of what's to come on a much larger scale, man. Okay, because this war is gonna get to the point, all right, that nuclear exchange is gonna rock the earth, man. Okay, and you imagine, like other Apostle Hart said, that earthquake itself, okay, just the earth rocking to and fro, man, that's gonna bring down a lot of this infrastructure, man. This devil is gonna collapse, man. Like I said, he got that one last trick, which is the MOTB, and he out of here, man. Okay, he's falling. He ain't about to fall. He's falling, man. Okay, and even this MOTB, man, he gonna throw it. That's gonna be a Hail Mary. You see, that's just gonna be a desperate Hail Mary, man. Okay, now I wanna get this video too, just to show you. Now, it's interesting with this. I found this interview. Now, just to show you that false narrative. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. So the false narrative of Western media. Now, this guy here, I think named Mario Nawfal. I think he's out there in Dubai. So he's close to the action. And you got Larry Johnson. We go into him, ex-CIA Larry Johnson often. Okay, but he has to put Mario on game because see, you have these Edomites. Matter of fact, you have certain people in general, especially people in the West. All right, they're optimistic, okay, about this war, and they really hope America win, no matter how much wickedness comes out on America. No matter all right, how bad America does them, because these same people will cry and complain about, how hard life is, but when America go to war, all right, it's still people pulling for America. You still have people that's optimistic about America, man. That's why that false news sounds so good to them, because you can tell when him and Larry dialoguing, all right, that he's being disappointed by some of the information that Larry coming out with, okay? Because a lot of people don't want to, they can't fathom America getting their ass whooped by Iran. With all the propaganda that they've been fed all these years, man, it's hard for these people to fathom that Iran, all right, is giving America the business, man. Okay? It's hard for them to see big bad America, okay, on the back foot. It's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, man, especially people that still in love with the beast, man. So you're gonna have a lot of optimistic viewpoints when it comes to the beast falling, man. Okay, it says optimistic, says hopeful and confident about the future. Okay, hopeful and confident about the future, man. Okay, and that's why people, they still think that, somehow, some way, this war is going to end. All right, everything is going to level itself out, and life going to go on. All right, as usual, business as usual, man. People want to get back to business as usual, man. They don't want to hear about, America, all right, being defeated, or let alone America being destroyed. Okay, so it's a lot of people that have, that are very optimistic when it comes to this war. Okay, and they're hoping somehow, some way, all right, that America prevails, man. Okay, when you go into another definition, it says involving an overestimate, because a lot of people overestimated, all right, the American military power, and their mind just can't fathom, okay, America, losing in the war. Okay, and it's early. You see, usually you found out about America losing the war, all right, or losing a battle, it'd be years later. Okay, because so much propaganda had went out and it was one-sided, and these niggas been made 5 or 6 movies about it. But now, day 2, okay, you find out that America on the back foot, man. Okay, so when you go into Western media, which you can tell when someone's been listening to Western media, because they try to give you these pre-cop answers, okay, with no facts. All right, but let's go here. I just want to play this. When you go to this is my guy ex-CIA Larry Johnson. So let's play this.
The United States and those particularly Qatar and the Emiratis, they're in real trouble. Economically, they're going to suffer much more than Iran. Iran suffered economically for years. They're used to that suffering.
And see, what people have to understand, you see, Iran been sanctioned for years. Their economy has been sanctioned for years. They've been the black sheep of the global market for years, for decades. Okay. Well, what America did with killing their supreme leader, Iran was like, well, shit, everybody finna feel it. Everybody, shit, y'all get used to living how we live. Shit, they live how we live. You see? So let's play this.
The attack on the oil refineries and oil storage tanks in Iran simply means Iran will respond in kind, and they have done so. They've hit the oil depots in Israel, and I believe it's in Haifa. So the West has made the mistake of grossly underestimating Iran's capability, because what Iran has done over the course of the last 7 days is remarkable. They have taken out 5 radars. These are the AN. Let's see, they call one the ANSI, TSP, the TIPSI, and the other one is the ANFPS. These radars cost between $500 million and $1 billion. So they've destroyed Iran has destroyed roughly $5 billion in radar equipment alone. And that means now the United States is reliant
The
upon
AN, just so that's the one you're talking about, the AN/FPS 132 radar worth about
Yes.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
That radar, just to give context quickly for the audience, this radar is a key node in Washington's global missile shield, covering a vast area from Europe to the Indian Ocean. Only 6 exist worldwide, including sites in the US, Britain, Greenland. Now, it wasn't destroyed, it was just damaged, but it just shows how significant that radar is.
No, it was destroyed. Trust me. I've heard from somebody who's in a position to know. United States went, "Oh, you barely touched us." It's a lie. It was destroyed, and right now we're relying upon AWACS, the E3 Prowlers, I guess they're called, to stay in. Because what they do is they relay information to the ground air defense systems, the Patriots or the THAADs. The other thing they've done is Iran's destroyed 3 THAAD batteries. Now, there are only like 11 of them in the world. And the number of THAAD missiles produced on a year is like 79, 80. So, and each of those missiles goes to a tune of 13 million apiece. So look, and then that's not to mention the devastation that's been heaped on U.S. military installations in Bahrain. That's the most important, followed up by Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. Again, the United States is putting out the lie. Oh, it barely touched us. We got the full control. We're doing great. Okay, well, we got some background facts that show that that's not the case. In Germany, there is a regional medical center called Landsruhe. It is 13 miles west of a town, a U.S. military base called Kaiserslautern. So Kaiserslautern Air Base yesterday, they put out the notice, "Oh, we need to get troops in here to donate blood." Oh, really? The blood drive? No, it's not the annual blood drive. And then 2 days prior to that, the hospital at Landstuhl announced all pregnancy services for dealing with babies, newborns, births. We're canceling those. We have to focus on our primary mission. Well, what might that be? Oh, they're the primary delivery spot for soldiers that are wounded.
So these hospitals in Germany, there's hospitals in Germany that's known for treating wounded soldiers that are overfilled, and they're asking for blood donations from troops. Okay? So what does that tell you? Because you're not going to hear these things in the West. Okay? These hospitals over there are filling up. There's reports that Israeli hospitals are filling up. Okay? Well, all you hear is about this one, like it's one-sided, because you hear one side, and the one side is a extreme lie. It's the exact opposite of what's happening, man. So let's let play a little more.
So the casualties that the United States has suffered are much, much greater. I posted this last night. There was a picture at Andrews Air Force Base of a medical transport, and then these three large vans transporting wounded to Walter Reed Medical Center. It used to be called Bethesda Naval Center. I used to live like 5 blocks south of that. So there's a lot more damage being done to the United States than they want to admit. The other clue, State Department's really upset with CNN. I mean, CNN's going into Iran and reporting that things aren't that bad. Now, if the United States was doing the level of damage that it claims to Iran, wouldn't you want to get every media outlet possible in there? Get them in. Let's show this, man. Let's look at it, because Iran's not putting restrictions on people, unlike what Israel does to journalists that want to get into Gaza or even go into Tel Aviv or Haifa right now. So this information operation game that the United States plays repeatedly in these wartime scenarios is, they're at it again, and they're ignoring the fact that Iran now is in a position to launch missiles that previously with those ground radars, they were detected 15 minutes, 30 minutes beforehand. Now, even the Israelis are admitting they only get like 1 minute warning, 1 to 2 minute warnings. So Iran, Iran's holding its own. I'm not saying Iran's not getting any damage and there's not Iranians being killed. Of course there are. But the tendency of the United States to grossly exaggerate its accomplishments, when what we're seeing is right now, Iran firmly holds the Strait of Hormuz. There is the oil. Last I saw, the price of Brent was creeping towards $100 a barrel. When you watch Scott Bessent, you feel like your head's on a swivel. 4 weeks ago, he was pressuring India. Stop buying that Russian oil. You got to stop that. We can't have that anymore. And now he's going, hey, you know what? We're listening to those sanctions. Go ahead, buy it. It's okay with us.
Yeah, they're also considering lifting not all sanctions, but more sanctions on Russian oil.
Yeah.
This war is economically and militarily a godsend for Russia right now. All distraction away from Ukraine, the U.S. spread thin. By the way, your comment on CNN, just looked it up. You're right. A senior State Department official, Dylan Johnson, accused CNN of spreading pro-Iran regime propaganda after correspondent Frederick reported from Tehran that daily life appeared relatively calm, normal. Example, people buying coffee, groceries, despite ongoing U.S.-Israeli strikes, implying things aren't that bad. The State Department urged media to verify with official U.S. sources instead. What do you mean?
And real quick, just to show you, this is the CNN reporter, that's under fire. All right. I think his name Fred. Forgot his last name. Let me see. This might be it. Thought I had it pulled up. Let me see. Okay, here we go. So let's pull this up, because all you see in the West, which Iran is getting a lot of damage. They're getting damage, Who's to say how much? All right, but we know the West exaggerates a lot, man. And Tehran, all right, like I said, he is, getting hit. But when you go here you go. So this guy, this CNN reporter went to Iran. Okay, he's in Tehran, I want to say. So let's play this.
Taking a quick break for a coffee along the way. We've been driving for several hours. There's a couple of things that we've noticed. Number one is that, first of all the shops are open. All the shops are really well stocked, even with fresh things, like, for instance, fruits and vegetables. Coffee, obviously, also available as well. And then also the gas stations. There's no long lines as gas stations. Fuel seems readily available, and you just don't see any sort of degree of panic anywhere.
Yeah, so he had a little snippet. I was trying to find the whole little piece. I don't know if they scrubbed it or not, but I was trying to find the whole little piece to play it. But so CNN is going crazy about that, because he's showing, that the West just showing smoke and fire, like that's the whole city, like the whole Tehran is on fire. All right, which I say these devils, they play a lot of propaganda. They play into, what you call wartime propaganda, okay, to keep the morale, okay, of the citizens high, man, because Trump is looking foolish on the global stage, man. He's looking like looking like the biggest clown, all right, to ever do it, okay? So it's to the point now, it's just ridiculous what he'll say about the war, man. Completely, all right, completely the opposite of what's going on. All right, so let's go back here.
Official, how would you verify with official U.S. sources instead about what's happening in Iran?
Yeah, listen, we're supposed to have, this is CNN doing what it used to do. I mean, it used to actually be a world media report that we could rely on. I mean, I'm going to take you way back to show you how old I am. In the summer of 1986, so 40 years ago, I was sitting in the CIA's operations center. So I was working 12-hour shifts. And this is before.
And it's good to see CNN do that. And not only I think a lot of this mainstream media, we'll get back to the topic of Iran, but a lot of mainstream media has really dropped the ball when it comes to domestic issues, but still cover international issues better than most others. But let's go back to what's happening in Iran. You make some interesting points. I see Iran, I'll tell you my perspective and let me know where you disagree and what you agree with. I see Iran as militarily struggling massively because of the strikes on their launchers. So the radar systems, American radar systems, are able to spot the launchers very quickly and send it, beam the data to the fighter jets. There's a name for it. Let me get the name for you now. Sensor shooter. So they send the data to the fighter jets, and the closest fighter jet immediately strikes the launchers, and they're able to strike the launchers at times before it fires. So that hurt Iran militarily significantly, and that's why we're seeing the attacks drop by over 90-95%. And I think, I could be wrong, that it's not intentional by Iran preparing for a war of attrition, but it's actually their capacity to strike has been severely hampered when it comes to missiles, not drones.
Yeah.
But I also think that Iran strategically is winning because if they survive, they win. For a win for the US, they need to get rid of the regime, and I don't think they will succeed without boots on the ground. And I don't think Trump has the political leeway to send troops to Iran. So that's why I think that Iran, the regime, will win strategically but lose militarily. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you strategically. I have another take on the military side of it. The U.S. is lying, okay? Lying. How do we know that? So let's go back 8 months. 8 months ago, Operation Rough Rider. Now, how did the Houthis launch missiles? Oh, they had mobile missile launchers, just like Iran. Except their territory was not as dense, not as mountainous, not as forested. How did we do there against destroying the Houthi missiles? Because we had the Predators up over. We had more of our aircraft flying over Yemen than we do in Iran right now.
Wow.
By far. Oh, yeah. If you look, the U.S. aircraft are staying largely outside. They're firing these missiles. The JASSMs and the JDAMs, they're firing from outside the western border of Iran, where it borders, because if you look at the depth of the strikes and chart them, they're all about 270 to 350 miles in. The range of those JDAMs, the AGM, the air-to-ground missile, is about 500 miles. So the planes aren't flying, and I guarantee you, whatever information they get about the location of a launcher in X point, it's still that missile's got to fly 10, 15 minutes for a mobile launcher that's moving. All we know is that the United States didn't have that capability 8 months ago. And now we're told that, oh, it's magical. We're destroying everything. Do you know we destroyed 60% of their launchers? How do we know how many launchers they had? Huh? I mean, what was their starting number? Because
wouldn't Mossad have access to that information? They're so infiltrated within the IRGC?
Absolutely not. Because
and see, that's the thing. So just explaining what he was saying. So what you have, I know you probably hear, we hear a lot of people talk about air superiority because America is used to fighting wars with air superiority. So what is air superiority? Air superiority means that another country can fly over your country, okay, without being hindered. There's nothing stopping them to just flying over your country. They just got free range, all right, to fly over your country and shoot anything they want inside the country. They're able to strike anything inside the country because they have air superiority. That means that they can put those fighter jets in the air over your territory, refuel in the air, do strikes, refuel again, do strikes, keep refueling, do all the strikes they want, and come back and land, all right, with no harm. That's air superiority, okay? They don't have that in Iran, all right? They had that in Gaza. They had that in Syria. They had that in Yemen. Even in Yemen, they had air superiority. They was flying over Yemen, and they couldn't stop Yemen. Yemen made the American Navy get out the Red Sea. Okay, because they couldn't stop them from firing. Okay. Now with Iran, they don't have air superiority, so it's only so deep they can strike inside of Iran. Iran's a big country. So what they're doing, they're flying to the border. They flying right there on the outskirts of those Iranian missile defense systems, which they go to these the GCC countries. They're flying, all right, to the coast, all right, of the Persian Gulf, and they're shooting missiles across the Persian Gulf into Iran. They're not flying over Iran and shooting any missiles. They don't have their air superiority. Okay. So they are being forced, to only be able to shoot so far within Iran. Okay. And now he's telling him that there's no way that they can tell you that they knocked down, that they've destroyed 60 of their launchers, because they don't know how many launchers they got. Nobody knows how many launchers Iran got. They're on the ground. We seen the footage. They're shooting out the desert. How can you count that? Missiles just coming randomly out the desert. That's a big country. Okay? And you just got missiles random. You don't know how many launchers. Then it's underground. And he's like, so Mossad can't? No, Mossad is not. See, people think that American military is unlimited, and people think that the CIA and the Mossad is unlimited with their intelligence. No, they're limited, man. Okay, they got limitations. There's only so much they know, so much you can do with military power, especially in the air. Okay. So he had to tell you that, because old boy was like, wouldn't Mossad know that? Because he's optimistic. You can tell he's young-minded, and he's full of, he's partially full of Western propaganda. He think he got it too, when you listen to him, but the West just be flat out lying, man. Okay. Their false narrative ain't holding anymore.
Missiles are underground. The launchers are underground. Now, if the launchers and missiles were being produced at above ground locations, yeah, we've got overhead imagery, we got satellites, you can put analysts to work counting that stuff. I mean, it's pretty tedious work. And you also got some artificial intelligence you can apply to it. But this stuff's underground. And plus, we're seeing missiles being launched literally out of the dirt. So they're covered up. And so this claim that we're just destroying launchers, I think several of what we think we destroyed were decoys. And this is not the first time they put decoys out, not just Iran, but the Serbs were doing it back, good Lord, 28 years ago. So like I said, this happy talk about, oh man, look at all the devastation we did. All I know, we've got historical record of example after example, going back to the first Gulf War in 1990, followed by the second invasion of Iraq in 2003, where with the military, Pentagon makes all these wild claims about success. Like they claimed in, Ted Postal has rebutted this, that they claimed that they used like 90% of the Patriots shot down were successful in engaging targets. And it turned out the statistics were exact 180 degrees opposite. But this is not new for the Pentagon. Go back to Vietnam. In Vietnam, because you get this bureaucratic, but he was a coward. And
also, too, because he's going to mention a particular movie, I think it's
and the Let
me see the I don't know if y'all seen, because a lot of these movies, like with the special forces, and they say based on a true story. The Lone Survivor movie with Mark Wahlberg, he's going to mention that guy, and pretty much how Hollywood hype up, military special forces, which these special forces, they can do some things. All right, they can carry out certain missions, they can get busy, okay, but everything is just so exaggerated. Esau make you think like these niggas can't die. Like you look at these special forces movies, like these niggas can't die, and just like 4 of them can really take down the country of 90 million people. You would think that, okay, but it's all Hollywood and exaggeration, man. It's all war propaganda. All right, the Pentagon has a budget in Hollywood, okay, but this movie Lone Survivor, okay, with let me just show this real quick. You go into this movie Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg, okay, and you go in here with Mark Wahlberg, Lone Survivor, about these Navy SEALs. You know, this incredible tale of 4, Navy SEALs. Okay. All right. So when you go here and let's listen to Larry tell a story about that movie. Cause you go to the movie like, damn, these niggas. But then you go to the real account what happened. Let's play this.
Khan overran U.S. bases north and south. So, like I said, the times in which the U.S. military have told the truth, and look, I watched this from the inside for 23 years working with JSOC. You remember that we got told that bullshit story about Marcus Terrell, the lone survivor. You know, they put these 4 Navy SEALs out and all this heroic struggle. It was a lie. The guy dropped his weapon, ran away. I mean, but he was a coward, and doesn't want to hear that. But he, in that situation, instead of sticking with his buddies and fighting like he was supposed to, he ran away. He survived. Good. I'm glad he survived. But what did the Department of Defense do? Spawn this hotel of great heroism and bravery, and they lie to manipulate the American public into this, because here we're engaged in a war that there is absolutely no legal, moral justification for it. And now Trump was out today with the fact that the Iranians are cutting women in half and killing babies. I mean, come on.
You just ruined my favorite movie. You're saying the actor and lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell. I love that movie. You're saying
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg played the movie.
Yeah, Luttrell ran away.
All right.
Yeah. That's crush my boy dreams, man. A lot of this American military has been a lot of hype, man. The special forces, everything, man, has been hype. Okay, and now America is fighting a war where they don't have air superiority, man. They're limited. They're very limited in what they can do. Okay, Iran got them fighting from a distance, man, and that's why they're so quick now. And you put American troops in a hostile enemy territory with because remember when they sent troops to Iraq, they had air superiority. The air superiority is softened up everything for you, because your Air Force, because the Army. If any of you brothers been in the Army, I heard men in the Army speak about it, how those those fighter jets, those helicopters are like their guardian angels. I used to Uber a lot. I used to ride. It's just a spirit. I used to pick up a lot of special forces. So I'm having long conversations with them, but they were saying like how those helicopters and those the air support, that was like their guardian angel. Because when they would get bogged down in the fight, they could just radio in air support. Them helicopters come in, with them 30 cals, 50 cal caliber, shoot a few, air, to surface missiles and clear the way. Okay. So they had an advantage, a major advantage. When you got air support in somebody else's territory, that's a major advantage. But they're talking about sending troops in Iran without air superiority. See, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. I want to know the date, how this going to play out. So Let's play a little more. I'm gonna jump to the end in a minute because there's one main point in the end that he spoke on. Showing just how unaware people are of how vulnerable and how fragile American security is, man. So let's play this.
That's one of my favorite movies gone. I want to ask you a question though. And by the way, while you're speaking, kind of the news is making your point. There's an explosion in Kuwait literally 2 minutes ago.
Let me jump. I think it's like the 54-minute mark. Let me see.
Happened to all of those.
A mother stretches one plate across all 5 of her children. A father.
The Muj that we backed. Well, they turned into the Taliban, and then all of a sudden we were not happy with the Taliban. So, but what we did do is we took some of those that we trained and sent them into Chechnya to try to break up the Russian government, and that was a 10-year civil war that Russia won at great cost, but it won. So I guess they turned the question around and say, can you show me one of these groups that we've ever funded, going back to Vietnam, that have succeeded in taking over a country and turning out to be a political security asset for the United States? Not one.
I can give you examples though, where that strategy led to a failed state. Syria, Libya, Iraq, and that's what worries me.
Well, the difference here with Iran is, Syria, if you will, was sort of a made-up country, as is Jordan. These were not centuries, millennial-old societies. Persia is, Iran is. Yeah. Plus, Iran's relationships now with Russia and China have grown in strategic importance and have been accompanied by very solid actions on the part of both Russia and China to boost the economy of Iran. Now, look, Iran's going to they're going to suffer, and they're going to take casualties through this without a doubt. But you know what? The United States is not getting off cost free. Now, we don't have our cities burning, at least not yet. But what Donald Trump was hoping for economically it's now in the trash.
What do you mean not yet when you say about the U.S.? There's no one that could strike the U.S. right now.
Yeah, poor fella. He don't have a clue. There's people in the world. A lot of people in America think like it. Because they're used to just hearing about these wars 5,000, 6,000 miles away. Okay, but not understanding that this Third World War is going to get missiles sent back, to America. And it's going to be the grand finale of the age of the heathen, the age of Esau, is missiles coming back. All that wickedness that Babylon has done, well, all those missiles are going to come back at one time. All that wickedness, all that violence and destruction is going to come back on America at one time. All right, but listen to him.
But what Donald Trump was hoping for economically it's now in the trash.
What do you mean not yet when you say about the U.S.? There's no one that could strike the U.S. right now.
Russia could, China could, North Korea could, but
North Korea, North Korea has the capacity to strike the U.S. Yeah, but the missiles are able to reach the U.S. mainland without being intercepted.
Well, yeah. What are we going to intercept them with? I mean, seriously, the United States does not have an established air defense system like Russia does. I mean, Russia's got the S-400, S-500, S-550. Russia has actually devoted its time to trying to.
So, yeah, he didn't even understand that America could be touched. Okay, and this one with Russia, China, India, Pakistan, the UK, France. I believe they have long range. And see, this is the thing about war. You're gonna be surprised who all can touch America, man. Okay, it's gonna be a surprise of what all nations have the capability of touching America because it's the will of the Lord. Okay, so let's get some precepts on that. We're in there. Let's get a couple precepts on that. Okay, that's why it's gonna be like a thief in the night, man. You got people walking around really thinking, America is untouchable, man. Okay, well let's go here to Jeremiah, and then we'll get that in I think second Ezra 16. Well, that's Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 9. It said, for I am raising up an army of great nations from the north. They will join forces to attack Babylon, and she shall be captured. The enemy's arrows will go straight to the mark. They will not miss. Okay? So the Lord has it set up to where these nations are getting ready to take America off the map. Okay? You see, there's an assembly of nations, all right, that have the capability, okay, to hit America, man. Jeremiah 15:14. Yes, prepare to attack Babylon, all you surrounding nations. Let your archers shoot at her, everyone that's nuclear capable, man. Spare no arrows, man. Every nuclear missile that these nations have, all right, will be shot on America, man. Okay. It said, for she has sinned against the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai. She sinned against the Lord. All right. And this place is the motherland, the source of wickedness in the earth, man. Okay. So the Lord has equipped these nations with the technology to be able to reach America, not only reach America, but reach it swiftly. Okay. It's going to be a swift destruction, man. Okay. So let's go here to, where we at? Let's go here. Second address on. So you go second address 16. All right. (16 and 3) said a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Okay. And this is speaking about what's coming to America. A sword is that missile. A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and who is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away any hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in the stubble when it have begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer, man. Okay, because this the Lord's weaponry that's getting ready to get used to judge America, man. These nukes, this the Lord's weaponry, man. Okay, it said the mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? It says a fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings. Okay, and that's the chariots as well. And that's another thing. The chariots gonna touch America too, man. All right, Yahweh Shai can touch America. All right, directly, man. You see? So America is not out of reach, man. Okay? America is well within the reach of the judgment of the Lord. All right? He said, he shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten a powder in his prison, man. And that's that chariot, Yahweh Shai. Because if you're not on that chariot, man, there's a good chance you're going to be powder. Okay, if you see that chariot, you're not on that chariot, man. There's a good chance you're gonna be powder, man. Okay, and it says, the earth quaketh, the foundation thereof, the sea ariseth up with the waves of the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power. Okay, and that's the earth reeling to and fro like a drunkard, man. All those missiles, hitting America at the same time. Okay, it said, for strong is he. It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Okay, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. All right, and that's over here in America, man. the ends, the west, the furthermost part, because the west is like the end. That's where the sun, at the end of the day, where the sun sets in the west. Okay, so the ends of the earth is over here in the west, man. Okay, so the Lord gonna reach out and touch America personally, man. All right, so that was the point. Just wanted to tap into that. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards young brothers. And peace and blessings, salutation to the whole elect. Shalom.